All right, y'all. It's very hot in here, so I had to turn the fan on. So if you hear something, it's the fan. But welcome back to the show. I hope you guys enjoyed Midwest Melanin Mafia this week. We had a good time. I will try my best to get the guys to get back together next month when we are talking about heading into SummerSlam. And of course, we're going to go over these PLEs that are coming up next week. But we got some mess to talk about. But first, we're going to introduce the regular. We got Nicole here. Alexis is on vacation. Janae is out. And then we got another regular. We have Don. So everybody say hi, and then we're going to get into this mess.
Hello.
Hey, hey.
Okay. So TNA seems to not want to get off people's necks. And it's a compounded issue here with TNA. So someone named Perch XLV posted on X about an experience that he had with Tommy Dreamer. He said, and I quote, and if you guys don't know, it's up on X currently right now. I have it pulled up so you guys can see it. But he said, and I quote, Tommy Dreamer pulled me aside backstage at a TNA show, telling me he would do everything he could to make sure I don't earn a job in the wrestling business. All I did was try to learn and grow from experiences, though his words were very discouraging for a young student to hear. Now, I guess he became a referee because it looks like he's the ref in these pictures. And he continues to have a conversation in the comments. He says, I didn't set out to prove him wrong. I simply thanked him for their advice and then went another direction. The pro wrestling business is for everybody. You just have to find where you fit in best. Don't perform for just someone else's ideal vision. Perform out of your own passion. He says, take critique like a professional and thank them for their time. However, don't allow someone coercive you, to coercive you. Share your burning desire to succeed in pro wrestling business with others who appreciate you. This is a community, not a tyranny. So Mickey James did not like that. And Mickey decided to respond. Okay. Now, Janella responded and said, as someone that does like Tommy, I don't know why he would say something like that to one of the nicest and most humble dudes in professional wrestling, a student of the game and one of the best refs out there. Without a doubt, one day you'll be refing multiple WrestleManias. Keep going. So nobody knows why he said this, and he does not explain where all this came from or why he came at him like that. But Mickey James responded, and she gave a very, very long response, and she did not take it down. She kept it up. She said, Perch, listen, I don't know you, but I do know Tommy Dreamer well enough to know that if, and she put it in quotes, he truly said this, there is far more to this story that you are conveniently leaving out. If you are going to come on here and attempt to bury someone, especially someone who is as loved, respected, and responsible for helping so many folks, including myself, in this industry, then at least be completely honest. I understand you want to speak your truth. Those are also in quotes, and possibly gain a bit of recognition by jumping on the bandwagon. However, if this is your path of 15 seconds of at X buzz, at least have the common decency to speak the whole truth. This ain't it. And it's pretty dumb because Tommy will always have a job in the business. I don't know if I can say the same for you. Have a blessed day. Um, it seems Mickey was pretty mad. She didn't like what Perch said about Tommy Dreamer. Um,
Um, that's just a lot.
it's a lot. Um, Then there's a fan came in and said, "Hey, Mickey, I'm a big fan. Since we're defending Dreamer's reputation, can you explain this kind of advice for young women? It seems a bit mean-spirited." So let's hear what he said.
Whatever picture.
I guess my question would just be, what's any advice you have for a girl trying to make it?
The divas. You have to. It's a male-dominated sport. I would make sure you are the best at what you do, again, in the ring. Your pictures, it's also a cosmetic business. Whatever pictures you send, and I would tell this to a lot of our girls that I would hire, until you become the most comfortable in that locker room, don't ever show up without makeup. There are some girls that I have seen without makeup, like, holy shit, that's you. Because you can have the owner of the company walk past you and be like, who the fuck's this ugly bro? Oh shit, it's you. Because for some girls, it's night and day. For girls, you have a harder, could you move, there's a girl behind you. You'll have a harder time making it. So that's why you want to have your skills even better. Right now, women's wrestling is kind of in WWE is kind of down. The more you improve, because then once you get the guys behind you, the guys would go to bat for you. And if it's sadly, it's a cosmetic business. So if, I need to lose 5 pounds, then you need to lose 10. I have told women that you need to lose weight. I remember me and Bubba yelling at Stacy that told her if she ever got tits, we would punch her in her face because her legs and her ass were her gimmick. And she didn't need them. Girls, you have an uphill battle. Make sure you get in the ring with guys all the time because they will make you better. Because if you can hang with the boys, you can hang with fucking the girls.
Keep in mind, I do think that video is a bit dated. However, okay. Nicole, why don't you go first? You This is wild. That's the best way to explain it.
I honestly don't even know what to say. I'm just so flabbergasted, to be honest. I mean, it's always a man who always has the nerve. Just, I can't. I don't even know. I believe this. Well, obviously believe it because this is a fucking atrocious. Telling Stephanie that you're gonna punch her if she ever gets tits, that's crazy. He wasn't even really in their gimmick. What is he worried about it?
What's any advice you have for a girl?
Like, this is crazy. I just
Um,
a loss for words. Honestly,
at this point, I'm just more inclined to believe whatever the fuck they said. He said it. I'm not going to bat about it no more. Well, I was never going to bat about it in the first place.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Whatever the fuck it is, he definitely said it. He definitely.
I think he did say it. I do think he said it. I do think Nikki jumped the gun a bit defending him, and that's why she's getting attacked. And when I say she's getting attacked, there are people who are like, I mean, if you watch Dark Side of the Ring when they were talking about the plane ride from hell, or rather the situation with Ric Flair and how Dreamer was just like, it was such an odd interaction with him talking about it. And He's not my favorite people, if I'm being honest. Um, Damn, they in the comments like fuck Mickey James too. Jesus. Um,
It's okay to be quiet.
It's just weird because I never actually had like an opinion about him. Even when I was a kid, like I just never cared. I just never cared about him. And that continued to get in because he was just never remarkable. Like he never did anything that really like ever stood out to me. Like in my mind, I'd be like, oh, like I need to remember. Like I just never gave a fuck. Um, it's the same with this,
I
to be
mean, he.
honest.
Am I surprised? No.
Hmm.
You have to think about the time frame he's coming up in wrestling. They were sexist. They still are. It's not. It's not rocket science. Um, it's very plausible that he said this. So there's no need to act as if this is out of character for him. It may be on Nikki's part because her interactions with him were not on this level, but to make it seem as though the person who was telling their experiences was just lying, flat out lying, or leaving out information, I think is piss poor on her part because now you don't put yourself in a position where people are going to be attacking you over some shit that didn't even have nothing to do with you. You could have just read it and kept your mouth shut. You really didn't have to say anything at all. You chose to say something. So you put yourself in that position.
Now people don't like both of you instead of just one of you.
You could have just left it off. Like you didn't have to go there. It was unnecessary. Um,
The one thing that I also need people to realize, just because like I want to say our generation, the generation of wrestlers are now like aren't crazy toxic, sans like a few buckets here or there, but
mhm.
aren't like how like our predecessor like the are like before. Just because like the age frame of like the Hogan and them and all of that stuff, and all of like just because they're going to meet their maker and blah 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 doesn't mean that mindset still isn't within the industry. We got a whole another generation after them that has to get that cycled out, and they're like in positions.
Yeah.
So I think people also need to be very realistic about that as well, unfortunately. But I mean, I'm not really surprised. And why are we falling on the sword for a man that's not even your husband? I think that's crazy work.
Can't answer that one.
Like, if it was our husband, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, whatever. Mind you, I don't think Nick Aldis would be doing all that, but
No. Genuinely a good dude. So yet to hear anything bad about Nick Aldis, and you probably never will, to be honest with you.
yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, Tommy Dreamer, does he deserve the thanks? That depends on the people who care and know about him. Me personally, I don't care for Tommy Dreamer. I do think that his words are coming back to haunt him. But like I said before, this looked like it came from a time where it was much earlier in his life, obviously, because the time frame that he's talking about women and how they're presented, it makes sense. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he needs to stop doing that. It makes sense. He wasn't lying to them. He told them the truth. As ugly as it was, he did tell them the truth. He basically was like, look, you're going to have an uphill battle. Keep makeup on if you want to keep yourself, presented properly. Nowadays, it's a little bit easier for the girls to be able to be their authentic selves in the locker room. They don't have to risk being fired for not being quote unquote pretty without makeup. So that's why I'm like, this video is very dated. And he would have had to have changed his views by now. If he didn't, I would imagine that explains why he got let go from TNA, because he isn't keeping up with the times, if that makes sense. But we're gonna move on because this situation is boring. I'm just gonna be honest, it's boring. Um, let's talk about AJ Francis. So AJ Francis has already re-signed with TNA, and there have been a bunch of re-signings. Trey Miguel just re-signed, and they put a big old thing out for him. And there was a Twitter user who came out and basically responded to one of AJ Francis's tweets. Now, if you follow AJ Francis, then you know that man spares nobody anything. He's gonna go hard in the paint for everyone, especially the black people, and he makes it very loud to the point where he is put himself in a position where he could be considered a pariah in wrestling. With that being said, when TNA announced that Ali officially signed to TNA, and this was officially reported on Rewind, Recap, Relive podcast, he make sure y'all report this and Tasha resounding as loudly and proudly as y'all report people being granted their release that they asked for. Okay. Now, what he's referring to is Steve Macklin and Mila Grace. Both of them requested their release and it was granted. And then TNA reported it as a release from the company. Now, a fan responded and said, why don't you report why so many of your peers are asking for their releases? And AJ Francis responded, because they all tell their own stories. Why do idiots like you pretend Steph wanting to because she wants to wrestle, and Mila wanting to because she's not on TV, and Macklin wanting to because he doesn't like creative after being champ for 216 days of the year are all the same reason? Because you're dumb. And then Deanna Purrazzo was like, okay, you done brought up my husband, so I'm coming in for the save. And she said, after being champ for 216 days of the year is incredibly passive aggressive. If you don't report because they tell their own stories, then let them do that. She said, let them do that. Let them. Don't do this shit. I guess she took offense to him after being champ for 216 days. And AJ Francis goes on to explain that he meant no harm by it. He said, I was the one he beat. I was not passive aggressive at all. I talked to him today like a man. These are facts. You are incredible. And so is he. Also facts. She then responds, because I don't think she understood that he wasn't attacking Steve Macklin or making it seem like Steve Macklin was champion for 216 days, but he still had issues with creative, because that's not what AJ Francis said. He made it very clear. He said he was champion for 216 days and he had an issue with creative. It was two separate things he was bringing up, and she took it as a dig. She continued and she said, he texted you because he's a man that doesn't need to spew facts on social media. AJ said, yeah, he very much is a man, and so am I. And both our texts were nothing but love and respect. So I don't know what you get from saying I'm not a man after I just showed you love. I would never talk to you like that. This social media shit don't mean nothing. So the fans came in at her neck. You sit there, diss her man in the tweet that shouldn't have gone further than the first line. Regardless if you talked to her man in text and gave her props, Deanna feels disrespected by you. If you can be disrespectful publicly, make the apology public too. So they're going after AJ Francis for this.
What was disrespectful?
She didn't like the fact that she brought up the fact that he was champion for 216 days. I'm gonna
But what
read.
else you supposed to say after 100? After
I want to read
160?
it again because I feel like she took offense to it. I don't understand why, but I guess it's the way that it landed in the sentence. But she took offense to it. It says. He says, and Macklin wanting to because he doesn't like creative. After being champ for 216 years, days of the year are all the same reason. Essentially, is he brought up each reason for the wrestlers leaving, like Steph DeLander wanting to be on wrestle, Mila wanting to be on TV, Macklin didn't like creative after he was champ for 216 days of the year. I guess he was saying this was a champion in your company and he's mad about creative. It should have been respected, is what he's saying. But it's coming out or across to her as he was digging at Macklin for being champion for 216 days and still complaining about creative. I don't know other way to explain.
I mean,
So she's just mad to be mad.
But it's like she
yes, because he didn't say
216
anything.
days to be upset about.
Correct. He
You
didn't
want
say
me to
anything disrespectful.
217 days? What you want me to say?
I have
Girl, wrap it up. You're ridiculous. If you need something that bad, just tell them to drop them draws. You ain't gotta go through.
I don't know why, but Deanna seemed to be on one today, and everybody seemed to be on one today. But they were quite angry, and I was just like, I'm like, after I read that, I didn't get what she got from it. I simply thought he was just referring to the fact that he was a former champion for 200 plus days, and they still were not fixing the creative. That's what I took from it. But then the fans, they already hate AJ Francis because he's very vocal about black wrestlers and how they're treated. So they went in on him as they usually do. Now we got one more messy thing to talk about, which I've already addressed on social media, so I don't have to go in on him no more. But he did it, so he gets whatever he gets. Lars Sullivan decided to come out from his incel cave, and he decided to attack Big E. Of all people, he went after Big E. He said on X that Big E's neck injury was karma for him being anti-white.
Wait, what? You know what? I don't even know why we're entertaining him. Ain't he a crackhead somewhere? Like, what are we doing? Who even asked him? I'm mad at whoever even found this man. I don't even know where he was at.
Now, when I posted about it, the people in my comments, they went right after his little corn career.
It's not even that. It's like I genuinely fucking forgot about him.
Listen, I'm just reporting the news, and that's the way it is. It is news. It is internet fodder.
It shouldn't even be any type of news because I didn't even know he was still ripping and running around anywhere.
How you even make it back to the internet with this type of headline?
Who found him?
No. This is by Perched on the Top Rope podcast.
They sound lame as fuck because ain't no way.
They posted it.
Fucking losers. And I don't even like talking about like, my peers or whatever like that, but come on now.
You had to go deep to even want to interview him.
I already did my job,
For
so
free.
and I loved every minute of it. So I'm not gonna worry too much about it. But it was internet fodder, child. Let's go to something positive. The BRP, the 50, has been released. They put out the top 10 on Juneteenth. And Nicole let us sit there that whole time knowing we was wrong about who was number one on the podcast.
Well, not everybody was wrong about one.
She knew that most of us in the Midwest Melanin Mafia was wrong about the BRP 50, the top 10. But we had the top 3. We were in the right realm of the top 3. Most of us were. So let me see if I can pull it up. The BRP 50 is by Black Wrestling Podcast, and they posted the top 10 on Juneteenth. So we are going to pull it up.
What up?
Done. I cannot see the top 10. I got I'm gonna pull it up on Instagram. There they go. Okay.
She found it.
I did.
Yay.
All right. I have found it. I have secured it. Here we go. So let's go to the 10. We did not even bring up Willow, and I felt so bad after I saw Willow was number 10. She was AEW Women's Tag Team Champion. She was TNT Champion. She deserved that top 10 slot. So shout out to you, Willow. Number 10 is Willow Nightingale. Number 9 is Kevin Knight. I was right about Kevin Knight being up there. So Ruka is number 8. Leon Slater was one of my picks, but I didn't have him this low. I had him up higher than number 7, but I'm just glad he's in the top 10. Jay Cargill was number 6. Jay Cargill was champion for 169 days.
Yeah.
6. Now we are into the top 5. Number 5 is y'all favorite Mercedes Moné. Fair enough. She's held every goddamn championship you could have at one time. Athena was number 4. Shout out to Athena. Javon Evans was at number 3. Oba Femi was number 2. And everybody's favorite, Trick Williams, was number 1. All right?
Everybody's.
That's everybody. Everybody's favorite.
Okay.
Favorite, Trick Williams was number 1. He was TNA World Champion for 140 days during that time, and he also was became the U.S. champion, United States champion in April, and he's been champion since then. So,
To this day.
oh, look at that! Trick was commenting on it. He said he was much appreciated. That's awesome.
Oh, okay.
I love that for
Welcome.
you. Not you. Okay. Let's get to our main topic today, which is contracts. WWE contracts, to be exact.
Uh-oh.
The Maharaja posted on his social media how WWE superstars get paid. Okay. And I know it's going to sound a little confusing because of some of the jargon and the wording he's been using, but I'm going to do my best to put it in layman's terms so you can understand. But it seems to be pretty simple and straightforward. Now, I saw in the comments there was some questions in there that people were asking, and he answered them honestly and truthfully, which we love that. But let's just get into how the WWE superstars get paid. At least now. This isn't back in the day. This is now, and this is the updated version of their paychecks and how they actually get paid.
WWE contract actually work. For this example, let's sign a 3-year, $1 million per year contract downside guarantee. WWE pays its talent every single week. So take your downside guarantee of $1 million divided by 52 for 52 weeks. Your weekly check will be $19,230. For the sake of this example, let's round it up to $20,000. Now, with a downside guarantee, that $20,000 check will come in regardless if you are injured or if you wrestle 7 days a week. Same amount every single week. Now, can a WWE wrestler out-earn their downside guarantee? Absolutely. A downside guarantee is only a minimum. There is no maximum. There is no set maximum. So what WWE uses is what's called a bucket system. Now, the bucket system is imaginary in nature. It is essentially off the books. You will receive the same amount every single week. But what the bucket does is it keeps track of how much money is going out and how much money you are actually earning. Television tapings, live events, pay-per-views, merchandise, everything goes into this bucket. So let's start the bucket off, obviously, week 1 at 0. $20,000 goes out. You wrestled on Raw, you got $5,000, imaginary number. All of these numbers are imaginary. Your balance in the bucket is negative $15,000 after week 1. Don't let it scare you. Your weekly amount remains the same. Week 2, same thing. Minus $20,000 for your weekly pay. You brought in $5,000 for Raw. You're now negative $30,000. Don't let it scare you. Same amount hits your bank account. Week 3, $20,000 goes out. You work a pay-per-view. You get $50,000. You wrestle on Raw. $10,000. You were in the main event. And it was a sold-out arena. You are now positive $10,000 in this bucket. That doesn't mean you get $10,000. Again, this is imaginary. It's plus $10,000, but your weekly check remains the same. And if it was in the negative, you do not owe WWE money. This is imaginary in nature for now. Week 4, $20,000 goes out. You wrestle on Raw, $5,000. You get a $100,000 merchandise check. Except you do not receive the check. It goes into the bucket. In your bucket, you are up $95,000. Now, what happens when a wrestler gets injured or they're no longer being used on television? Same thing, your weekly check remains the same, but you will notice your bucket amount, your balance will start to decrease. If you were in the positive, you could soon be in the negative. If you were already in the negative, you could be further in the negative. Again, don't be alarmed by the negative amount. You do not owe WWE this money. Let me explain. So week 36 months later, you come back and you main event WrestleMania, you earn $500,000, except you do not get paid $500,000. It goes into the bucket. Whatever you were negative by, this will offset it. Now, let's assume for the rest of the year, I was wrestling on Raw regularly, I got merchandise, and I had a few pay-per-view matches. At week 52, I am positive $325,000 in my bucket. And by week 52, I will have received $1 million on my downside guarantee. And this amount of $325,000 will essentially be a bonus. So the total amount that I made for that year would be $1.35 million. Now, for most wrestlers, I would say over 90% of wrestlers, this number is going to be in the negative. And if it's in the negative, does not matter, because after week 52, we go back to week 1 and your balance starts at 0. You do not owe WWE any money. Year 2 starts on this 3-year contract. You will make another $1 million guaranteed.
Okay. So I know it was a lot of numbers. Okay. There's a lot of numbers, a lot of jargon happening here. But I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. The money that they make for merchandise, they make for anything that they represent, like any, I'm assuming that sponsorship deals are included in this, but he did not say specifically. Anything that they do that is outside of their normal contractual agreements, it is often drifted into the bucket. The bucket allows them to be able to make the money back, but that requires them to be popular enough to be able to fill it. So merchandise sales, if they're super, super high, this could offset your bucket and you will be in the positive over your downside, which will allow you to be compensated at the end of the year. You are working towards a bonus. You're not working towards money for your paycheck. Now, the way that he explained it in his comments, which you can see here if you're able to go to his page and watch, he said when he first signed to WWE, their downsides were much lower than they are now. So something like a $10,000 downside or a $20,000 downside is something much more common than what they were actually signing for back in the day. So things were a bit more cutthroat. Also, remember that Mason Mansour said that back in the day, they used to be able to work house shows. They would make money on those house shows. That was extra money for them. That was ways for them to pay for things if they wanted. Anything outside of that, they could get that money outside of their normal paycheck. So we know that WWE superstars get paid weekly. We also know that each one of them has the opportunity to get a major bonus at the end of the year. So working big PLEs is a major, major opportunity that most people are going to fight for. This explains a lot of things, why we see people like Becky Lynch taking spots from other superstars, why superstars are mad that they're not getting on certain shows. This explains a lot. So I like this. I don't mind the bucket system. Now, I saw a lot of people very upset about it.
I
like
think it's fair.
I like the system, especially if you're getting signed as a rookie and you pop off, your merch sales go up really high. The end of the year, if you're at the level of, like, think about like a Trick Williams. Trick Williams came in hot right out the gate. He was given the title within a month or so of him debuting on the roster. And you know his merch sales have to be high. He's got a lot going on. And then now he's champion. He's being seen everywhere. And you have to think, okay, well, he's being booked on each show. He's there every Raw. Every SmackDown. He's almost booked on every single PLE. So he's making money off of that. And then these are bonuses for your work ethic, your popularity, and how much you've been put through the ringer at the end of the year, especially if you hit WrestleMania. Like Trick got to WrestleMania. That was his first year on the roster. He was there. So he got a payout for Mania, which means he more than likely received a payout in his bonus for the year when the year ended. I think that that is a good competitive way to push your superstars to be great. Not just good, but to be great. You are going to have people who are going to be good on the roster, who are going to work and get their paychecks and go home. They don't require anything else. They're not hungrier for anything else. Where it can become a problem, though, is like I mentioned before, when people like Becky Lynch already have the star power, and then you have another veteran like Bailey, they get undercut because their star power isn't the same. And it really has nothing to do with their work ethic and how they move. It has more to do with who's more popular and who's going to make the ticket sales move. That allows for her to be able to get in there and take an opportunity, whereas she may not have done it under normal circumstances, but it was given to her, so she took it. And that's the only time I feel like it would be shaky or it's a little wonky. Other than that, I feel like it's a fair shake. Everybody is getting their worth because if you're more popular, and you're selling more t-shirts, you're selling more tickets, or you're because you're there, there's a boost in ticket sales for PLEs and for the big five. Like that's a big thing. You should be compensated for that. Somebody like Roman Reigns probably gets a massive bonus when it comes to WrestleMania because his name on that ticket sells seats every single time. Somebody like CM Punk got a bonus for WrestleMania because he sells tickets, and they actually had very good matches at Mania this year. So whatever bonus they got, they earned. Nicole, what do you think about the bucket system?
As someone who's worked in corporate America for a real long time now, the bucket system makes complete sense to me. As a bonus structure, it makes sense. Honestly, I'm not trying to shade my last job, but this low key bonus structure, it like makes way more sense and is way less convoluted than a fucking bonus structure that I had working for a major restaurant establishment, which is saying something. Anyways, it's neither here nor there. Don't work there anymore. Don't need to be mad about it anymore. It does make sense because it's also and the people getting mad about their paycheck negativing in the quote unquote bucket. It makes sense because it's showing, like you said, like it's showing like who's like, cream rises to the top, but it's also showing WWE and TKO their ROI.
Yep.
So
What's their return
basically,
on investment? Is what
yeah.
you call
So
it.
it's like, okay, like you're starting to get really popular. So you're covering, so basically you're earning quote unquote enough to cover what we pay you.
This
And then that's
also could,
basically like what they're asking for. Just like at least covering what we like, at least cover your pay. And then once you're covering your pay, everything else. And once you get into that positive of covering your pay, you're in a good. So it's not that hard, especially like I'll use I'm trying to use somebody as an example. Oh my gosh, it's gonna bother me. I'm trying to think of somebody. Okay, I'll use Chad Gable for example. You remember when he was I forgot he had some match and he was really popping.
yeah.
And he was really popping for like a minute and then he ended up cooling off.
Mm-hmm.
So for someone like that, that sort of helps them because that sort of like makes someone that also helps WWE on the aspect is say, so I'll use him for example. So say he was popping enough during that time that made his he made his bucket positive. So regardless of him semi cooling off here or there, him still being regularly on TV, being on pay-per-views, because he still was consistently on pay-per-views, even though he was semi cooling off, and he can still keep that as a reasonable payout. So like when the contract rolls around, that kind of softens him for the company. Then he'd be like, you know what, okay, say like, all right, I cooled off a bit for this much, but I made 20 grand more in bonus this year than I did last year. And then, so I guess I'll resign. Like, like shit like that. So I think it's just a good system for them to retain, also for them to retain people that they actually like.
Yeah.
Because because all these people who are saying, or with these releases, and they can be like, okay, well, when we hear, oh, it was a TKO decision, I feel like this is an easy way to have the buckets for why that how the like how TKO essentially came to that decision. They can,
Yeah.
it's really easy. Like honestly, that's how I would do it. Like once
I
it'd be that time, I would sit like
look at
with
that.
whoever in the office, start pulling up everyone's fucking bucket charts.
Yep. And I think that's exactly what they did.
Yep, and I would have been like, all right, and then you have that's how honestly that's how I would do it. I would like filter it out. I'll be like, okay, everyone who's a positive, I don't want to see them right now, just so I could see who's left in the negatives, and it'd be like, all right, we got enough people in negatives that we could probably release from here. All right, let's check it out, and then that's how, and then I would start breaking them up in tiers, like who was negative, but they're only negative like a couple grand or some shit like that. Unless they really ask, I'd be like, all right, I'll let them slide. And I also wonder, I'm very intrigued to see if NXT has this bucket system.
That's a good question.
Since I can't imagine this working correctly with the developmental deal.
I don't think they have.
But
We could.
also, again, I feel like I'm like really spiraling from this with this topic. Also, on top of that, um so you used Trick for example earlier.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. I'll use Blake because I feel like that one might make a little bit more sense for that. We have Blake that's off of NXT, is getting acknowledged to quote unquote, like, is acknowledged, she has been drafted up, she's on main roster, she
Mhm.
is on SmackDown.
Yep.
I would wonder, do they still keep them on that NXT deal for like an X amount of time,
Mhm.
or as soon as they get called up? Because I'll use Javon. Javon got moved I'll use Javon because Javon's the last person that got moved fairly quickly.
Yeah, he got moved real fast.
He got moved very
He
quickly.
debuted immediately.
Um, so, or yeah, like someone like him. So it's like, or as they transition them, or as they like, okay, like notify them, hey, like what a quote, you're on a Raw. Are they also being like, okay, we also need to add this on to your contract?
Or do they make them sign new contracts? I would imagine they would sign new ones.
Yeah. Regardless, add on or a new contract. That's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder how that works.
Ain't nobody explained it yet.
I need somebody who, no, they won't do it because they still work there. Who don't work there no more, who was on NXT main roster. Oh, Alba Fire.
Yeah.
Cause you got some, oh no, I want someone who went to college. Nikki Cross. That girl got 50, 11 degrees. I need you to come to the front of the classroom. Because
Well, that's
honestly, she would be a perfect one because she was there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
I need someone to explain this to me because that's what I want to know.
How do your contracts roll over from NXT to the main roster?
Yeah.
Do they make you sign new contracts so you roll over to the bucket system, or do you finish out your NXT contract and then you get a new contract?
Yeah. Or do you do some weird like hybrid or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like you got your pay increase, but you can't access the bucket system till whatever
After
month.
Mania. Yeah.
Yeah. Or some shit like that. Which I would be mad till after Mania. I'd be pissed. I'd be like, I'm not waiting that long.
Especially if you
Because
stop it.
what if you're in a Mania build?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You ain't about to do that to me.
You do not get your bonus.
I would say SummerSlam.
Okay.
I
If you
would be okay
debut,
with SummerSlam. Hell, I would push it and even say Royal Rumble, but Mania, that is crazy.
I mean, it would depend on
Honestly,
when
I
you
would say
debut.
Royal Rumble because that's when they actually start doing things.
It would depend on when you debut, I guess.
But I'm talking about someone I'm using like people who have just like debuted, like a Jordan Graces and like Blake and like Javon and like people like that, like the Tricks and shit like that.
Well, Blake hasn't debuted at all.
Okay, I won't use Trick because Trick's been they were at a Mania. I can't use them, so I'll use like Blake, all them Fatal Influence girls, like Ethan
Yeah.
Page, Ricky,
Yeah.
like those people.
They just debuted, so and they haven't even hit Mania yet. Even SummerSlam ain't even be in yet.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. To like those people, like obviously they all have fresh NXT contracts. Like that's who or I'm talking about, the people that like what kind of like transit, like what are we doing with them?
Mm-hmm.
Like is it a new contract or is it like how like yeah, like what are we doing?
How does
So
it work?
yeah, so and my thing is I was like what I feel like what I would do would make sense, like what what most jobs do with like say like what like your benefits, quote unquote, like you
Mhm.
have to work like X amount of days till you could access your benefits. Like I kind of in my mind I'm viewing that bucket system as that same way. So I'd be
Fair.
like, all right, you guys have to be on the main roster from this amount of time till Royal Rumble. Once you're there till Royal Rumble, your bucket's activated.
Makes sense.
So I want to say that. So Royal Rumble's on Sunday. I'll be like that Monday. Your bucket's activated. That's how I would do it.
Johnny, what you think?
Everything that she said. I do think it's a good checks and balance to see who you're finna invest in or who's going to be a good investment return.
Yep.
That's not,
I think that's why a lot of people that we like eventually get cut because their return on investment is not better. So they're letting them go.
as for this bucket system, I might have to use that in the classroom.
Mhm.
We finna see something real quick.
At the end of the year, they get their little treats.
Honestly, that is a good thing. That is a good tool
Good
for a
classroom.
classroom.
Yeah.
Dead ass.
If you start acting up, you get taken away your shit. And by the end of the year, you in the negative. No pizza party for you. You can't come.
You get nothing. Unfortunate.
Well, no, I wasn't gonna keep you long, but I wanted to talk about this because it was very interesting, and a lot of y'all ask questions about wrestler contracts. Some of y'all want to work for WWE at some point. It's better to know what you're getting yourself into than to go into something blind. Now, as a quick update to some of these PLEs that are coming out next weekend, because next weekend is when we're going to be watching wrestling. Monday Night Raw is going to come on at 2 p.m. because they're going to be in London. So, just in case, on Netflix, 2 p.m., do not forget.
London.
What'd you say?
London.
I'm mad that I've been watching SmackDown every week just for them to hold Blake off till probably this Friday. Because I was sitting here, I said, "What?" I said, "What the fuck is going on?" And then I was reading something. They were like, "Oh, Birmingham next." I said, "Oh, are you fucking kidding me?"
Yep. She gonna
Not
debut.
not the hometown pop.
Mhm.
I mean, I love that for her. And gosh darn it, they could have started just showing them 2 weeks ago.
So we got a lot of PLEs for this weekend coming. And it is as follows. Forbidden Door is on Sunday, the 28th. And we got a couple matches set for Forbidden Door. Steel cage match. Team Briscoe will face off against MJF and the Don Callis family. If Team Briscoe wins, Briscoe gets a title shot against MJF. Kenny Omega is facing off against Zack Sabre Jr. Now, Forbidden Door is a PLE where they are supposed to cross paths with New Japan, and they usually end the Owen Hart tournament there. So, Zack Sabre Jr. is a part of Stardom, I believe, and all of the other companies that are in there. New Japan, Stardom, CMLL. He wrestles across brands. So, he's going to be facing off against Kenny Omega. Strickland and Ospreay. They've battled before, and this time it's for the Owen Hart tournament to determine the number one contender for the AEW championship. Thekla is a menace. I've been seeing her clips in New Japan. She has been in Stardom before. She's been up there. She did her cut her teeth there. She's done amazing things, but she has decided to come back and attack the president of New Japan, I believe, and he was laid out in the ring while she was whipping his ass. Thekla is a menace to society. She's going up against Starlight Kid for the AEW Women's World Championship. You also are going to get Christian and Edge facing off against the Dogs for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, and Moxley is going to be facing off against Bandito for the AEW Continental Championship. Now, there is controversy on this PLE as well, because right now the current IWGP champion does not want to compete on the card. He has refused. His reasoning for this is very simple. He doesn't feel like the deal has been fair with AEW, and he refuses to compete with excuse me. He refuses to compete on the card or do anything with AEW. Now, Will Ospreay has something to say about it. And he basically was like, you can't be champion of the company and not compete. He said it's a bad look on the company that you're working for. You're the top guy. You set the example. You should be competing on this card. Some of the fans were like, well, he doesn't believe that, that it's fair. He thinks that the partnership isn't right. They never send their top guys. They only send da da da. And Will Ospreay ran it down. He was like, they've sent me. They've sent Kenny Omega. They've sent all of us. All their top guys go over there every time. So he was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about or what you're getting at, but that's not true. And it just spiraled from there. But either way, New Japan champion is not defending his title on the card. Allegedly he was supposed to defend it against Okada. But he backed out from what I understand, if I recall.
Also, sorry, just have to say this really quick before I forget how to say this correctly. So the clip of Pedro Stelmall attacking El Grande Americano, I don't know why this is so hard for me, is almost at 5 million views on Instagram.
I'm very curious about what this means for OTM because Mima's in that group and I didn't see Bronco nowhere. And I was like, where the hell? What's going on?
Yeah.
But I love it because I've been begging for Carmen to get some shit going for months. So good for her.
So good. So glad that this group has been like revamped.
But it's gonna be fun. You need to watch AAA. If you aren't watching AAA, you're missing out.
Yeah. It's gonna be on my rotation now.
Come on Saturdays. You're not gonna miss it. You gotta watch it. Now to go back to the little boycott. Yoda basically said in his interview with Tokyo Sports, I think we must firmly protect what New Japan Pro Wrestling must not lose. Look back at the past. There were four-way matches, open challenges, and retired wrestlers challenging. Do you think I would participate in an IWGP match when it's being treated like this in Forbidden Door? As the man who revived the IWGP Championship, I have to protect its value. So he is refusing to defend that title against anyone.
Period.
Is he for real or is this in kayfabe?
Oh no, he's serious.
Oh shit.
He is serious.
Well,
Now,
I don't work for neither company, so that ain't my problem.
It ain't my business, but Will Ospreay responded and he said, or maybe have some pride in presenting your country as your company as a top lad. When I held the IWGP Championship, I wanted to travel the world calling out the best to show them all New Japan is better. Obviously, his home market is Japan, and he has done a great job in the top spot. To me, this screams insecure.
Oh, I would have said some real crazy shit about Will Ospreay that would have got me kicked off of that website. I kid you not.
He said the roster clearly isn't as driven as the guys I was once surrounded by, just big belly boys wanting to keep playing free play. Grow a sack, fill it with some nuts, call out the BITW, and show the world how good New Japan is. Just my thoughts.
It's always some white man giving their thoughts when nobody asks.
Oh, I would have said I don't want to say it on here because it's bad, but I would have said, when I say I would have got kicked off the internet, straight up deleted, I would not be able to make a new account. I mean, kicked off.
He continued because fans started to respond. A fan said they never sent their top talent, and Will Ospreay responded and said, "Never send any of their talent. The highest attended Wrestle Kingdom had an AEW contracted wrestler. The semi of the same show had another AEW talent. Do you think they would have sold that many tickets without the generosity of Tony Khan?" Kenny went back. Andrade, myself. Could they send more? Absolutely. But in the same sense, why can't they make their own stars anymore? I did it. And I did it in the worst possible situation New Japan has ever found themselves in. You can't blame the company that gave New Japan Wrestling a platform to remind people how talented the roster is, especially during the COVID years when no one wanted to watch New Japan Wrestling unless me or the UE boys were involved. If they want to be treated equally on the equal level, level the fuck up and actually call out the guys you want to be on the same level, on that same level with.
Now, this part,
wait.
no, I'm saying like that part, I'm with him 90% of that. He should have honestly just said that as his response. And I would have been like, he's right, because he is right about that. I hate to say it, but it's right. It's not good. It's been falling apart over there for a couple years now.
Well, another fan said, "Have to love Forbidden Door season. Twitter comes alive with the same talking AEW versus New Japan points, recycled for the 9th year in a row, arguing all sides, achieving very little. And then we get the payoff to this with some random multi-man's book on the Dynamite before the show." Though I must say, the focus Ospreay has placed on New Japan Wrestling's perceived inability to create stars is interesting. I would argue that New Japan hasn't lost its ability, but instead hasn't been able to adapt to changing timelines. It's nuanced, but it's the actual point of contention, in my opinion. Ospreay responded, "Disagree. Kenny Omega was top 4 during the greatest time period in New Japan times, comes back from nearly dying as an AEW contracted talent. His first match back is against Gabe Kidd. They legitimately have the craziest match of the year. Did they capitalize on the performance of Gabe? Answer, no. You look at Gato, who has been a soldier and has only reached that potential after God knows how many years. Callum has completely grown into the role, and now he's hurt. You got some diamonds in the rough with Yuya and Awa. Shada is just finding his feet after so many flops. Drilla puts in so much work and is still being given the bell. It still isn't being perfect. There is more we could do as a partner. But come off the idea that we don't send our top guys. We legitimately have given you the top 1% in wrestling world in Kenny, Okada, Takeshita, Andrade, and myself. And I'm speaking for myself mainly, but for sure, the others feel the same. I love coming to New Japan because it was my home for 8 years. I've legit owed my life to the Lion Mark. My point remains throughout the battle with the opinion of those that have no idea what it is to be a New Japan wrestler. I don't know how to say his name, so I'm going to try to say it right. He says Suji should represent the company as champion in any event that has New Japan's presence, whether it's a multi-man, open challenge, or whatever the fuck it is. There is a level of pride you should have, especially holding that championship. And that was his contribution to the to Forbidden Door.
Crazy, crazy. A lot of
I do think.
discourse. They ain't
I
about
mean,
to
I
have
do
for
think
they
that
ain't about to have Forbidden Door again next year. I'm gonna let you know that right now.
I mean, well, I do
I
think that
would,
he's right in terms of what they've been able to do.
yeah,
I
that's what I said. I say he should have started. That first part was crazy. Like when he was trying to dog that was crazy. That was doing too much. If he let it off with all the rest of this, I would have been all the way with him. I would have been all the way with him. Even though I didn't some couple parts, I was like, I kind of don't believe that. But overall, that overall argument on that front is true because New Japan is awful at creating news, and Shota is a good one. Shota should have been, I don't want to say like a top guy, but he should have been a top guy by now. Like when he was a young lion, well, still a young lion transitioning, when he first got like linked up with Mox, like he had so much going, and then like the short time after, like he had so much going on for him, and like they just did nothing with it. And it's just, and then also about the Gabe kid, because look where the fuck he is at now. Like they keep losing their people. Like we have, like, why do we have Evil in NXT? We got Evil in NXT. I can't, I'm about to fuck up his name. Um Takeshita, Sakesha,
Mhm.
who's about to show up too. And it's like, why these people should not be like, no Tino shade. They should not be signed with WWE. That's the first thing. They should be signing over to
Mhm.
AEW, but they won't, but they're not, because that relationship is so fucking soured now. Like that should have been a pipeline. Like why is WWE
Now, if
getting
you're gonna
people
say,
that they should have been getting?
well, let's look at it from an unbiased viewpoint, right? I'm gonna go one, if I got people in the E, I'm going there. Two, if the money's right, I'm going there. And if I recall, a lot of the Japanese wrestlers are not, they're not young trying to make it. They've already had, especially guys like Evil, they've had their biggest moments in their own countries, done their own thing, and been massive stars. They're not looking for that. They're just moving into new and different pastures. Now, somebody like Takeshita, that might be different for him, or some of the other people, but I would venture out to say that there is fault on both sides in this partnership. I do think that there is some validity to what Soji is saying, but I do think that Will Ospreay is right. When you are the champion of the company and the company is in this particular partnership, it looks bad on their part that you're refusing to wrestle. It makes it look like that the partnership isn't working, and this could end up dissolving it when you could have wrestled the show, and then behind the scenes before the next Forbidden Door, you could have made demands on AEW to do better when it comes to booking the shows, make it more worthwhile, make people want to be invested. Don't just focus on the Kenny Omegas coming into this and having matches, or John Moxley's or whatever. Make it so that it's worthwhile, that it's fun, that it's interesting. If that's what Soji is saying, if he's saying it doesn't really give any rhyme or reason to have this, he could have a point. I mean, they do some building when it comes to it, like what they just did with Thekla what they're doing with oh god, with Omega and Zack Sabre Jr. But at the same time, it's there's not a lot going on. And then the big focus of Forbidden Door now is the Owen Hart tournament. So I can understand where he's coming from. The IWGP Championship on this match is a forgotten match. It's not going to mean anything to him or anybody watching it unless it's somebody of worthwhile that he would be going against. But all of those guys are in matches on the card. So I don't know. I'm just saying he may have a slight point here. But Forbidden Door is scheduled to be on y'all's TV screens on Sunday, June 28th. Sans a New Japan champion. It looks like the card is going to be fine. The finals for the women's tournament is going to be Maya World versus Mercedes Moné. We'll see how that shapes out for Maya World. It'd be very interesting if she wins. I hope that she does because that'll be a dream come true moment for her. Moving on, because there is a lot happening on Sunday. Great American Bash is also coming up, and it's also going to be on June 28th. This will be on the CW network at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Both titles will be defended. The men's championship and the women's championship of NXT will be defended. Kendall Gray is getting her 85th chance at this championship. And then we have Naraku facing off against Tony D'Angelo. Saquon Sugars and Deion Lennox will also compete at the Great American Bash. There was no title to be competed for between the two of them. And you'll have Miles Bourne competing against Tavion Heights. Tavion will be challenging Miles for the North American Championship at Great American Bash. The women's speed tournament, I think, ends at the Great American Bash. So that title will be defended there. And I think that's it. Saturday, we have the Night of Champions show for WWE main roster. This is on June 27th. They finally put up all the graphics for Night of Champions, and it is as follows. Jade Cargill will face off against Tiffany Stratton for the United States Championship. Jey Uso won the right to challenge Oba Femi to become the king of the ring. And so did Liv Morgan. She will challenge Io Sky to see if she will become a reigning champion and the very first champion to ever become Queen of the Ring. And then Seth Rollins will be challenging Braun Breaker inside of the steel cage match. And there's a triple threat match. The triple threat match is Gunther, Cody Rhodes, and Sami Zayn for the WWE Undisputed Championship. And Trick Williams will defend his U.S. Championship against Ricky Saints. All of this is happening in Riyadh on Saturday. Night of Champions comes on at 1 on Saturday because it's in Riyadh. So it's going to be a very early show. And last but not least, y'all, Slammiversary is on Sunday. Slammiversary's card is pretty stacked, but there are some things that has happened this past Thursday that was really fucked up, and we got to get into it. Nick Nemeth and Mike Santana were tag teaming to this week. They tag teamed against I can't remember who it was. It doesn't matter. They were able to beat them and get a double pin, and then they were attacked. Mike Santana ended up accidentally attacking Casey Navarro, to which Nick Nemeth laid him out in the middle of the ring afterwards. So there's a lot going on in this match. Lei Ying Lee and Zaya Brookside met each other in the ring for the final time. The two of them had words, and Lei Ying Lee basically told her she was gonna beat her ass at Slammiversary. Then was her words, not mine. And then she said, matter of fact, I'm not gonna wait till Slammiversary. I'm gonna just kick your ass right now. So then she attacked her. Zaya moved out the way, and the security stopped them from fighting. Zaya took out all the damn security. Okay, she was in there whooping security's ass. So Lei Ying Lee was beating up all the security. Zaya moved the security in the way of her signature, and Zaya was able to take out Lei Ying Lee in the middle of the ring and walk away. So we'll see how this works out next week. But the System are your current tag team champions. They will be defending their titles in a ladder match against the Hardys, the former champions, and the Righteous. I don't know how this is going to play out, but like I said before, I want the Righteous to win. Moose returned a week ago. I don't know what happened with him last week and the rest of the System. I don't give a damn. He came back and he supposedly is here to take down the System, and he's starting with the head of the snake, Eddie Edwards. This is the part that you should be interested in the most. You see, Leon Slater has showed back up in TNA, obviously. And he is not exactly happy at how things went down with him and Prime Alexander. You see, Prime stopped Leon Slater from becoming the longest reigning X Division champion of all time by 1 day. By 1 day. So Leon Slater is a little hot under the collar because of this. Now, he has made it very clear that he's coming for Prime. But he said he's not mad. He said he understands the game. He said, you were the better man that night, and I lost. And Prime went off. He said, I told you you weren't on my level. You acted like you had the game messed up and you had everything. And what happened is you got in the ring with me and you got your face kicked in. You lost. Get over it. I'm champion. You'll never take this title from me. You can't beat me. I told you you couldn't beat me, and you still lost. He was going at Leon Slater's neck. Leon Slater got mad. They was in there about to fight. Frankie Kazarian is standing there trying to stop him from fighting and basically announced that he is also in the Ultimate X match for the championship. It was messy on TNA this week. Y'all should have been watching it. Ricky Sosa not only is going to be wrestling in Slammiversary, but just recently he debuted over in Hog Wrestling, and he came out to a resounding crowd. Everybody loved him, but he's got a big problem next week. He is going to be facing off against Eric Young at Slammiversary. We'll see how the young upstart is going to do against one of the most formidable veterans in the game. And finally, we have the Knockouts Tag Team titles. Rosemary and Allie are going after the Elegance Brands belts, and they're going to do their best to snatch them from them. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but I will say that they had a pretty decent show this past Thursday. All of the clips are up over on YouTube. If you haven't watched it, you should, because it was a good time. I will say that. And on that note, I'm going to let everybody else go home so we can go to bed and get ready for our work week. Don't forget tomorrow that Monday Night Raw, it comes on at 2, not at 8. 2. Okay? Make sure you guys rate, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. If not, just know we took a break because you guys got 2 episodes of work this week, and that's why we took a break. Okay? But other than that, we'll see you guys next time.